Macron's upcoming election plans go down in flame as protests erupt in Paris over unvaccinated rules. Emmanuel Macron was faced with mass protests on Saturday in Paris against the French leader's latest comments about the unvaccinated in the country. On Friday, the French president said he stood by his earlier comments, saying he wanted to pee off the 5 million French people who are still not vaccinated against COVID-19, adding it was his responsibility to sound the alarm given the Omicron threat. He added it was the authorities' obligation to place restrictions against those who are not vaccinated, to protect the more than 90% of French citizens who are vaccinated. France is reporting more than 200,000 daily new COVID-19 cases on average, an all-time record, due to the high contagiousness of the new Omicron coronavirus variant. Mr. Macron's comments were however met with mass protests on Saturday, organized and backed by Les Patriotes leader Florian Philippot. Posting pictures of crowds in the French capital, Mr. Philippot wrote, "It's already packed and people are pouring in from everywhere. The January 8 thousands in the street demonstration already exceeds the demonstration of July 17. And by far. Macron and his filthy words will be sent back to the dustbins of history. Long live liberty, free France." Amongst the thousands marching we meet Ava Pezzino, a young French woman. She isn't wearing a mask even though it's mandatory to do so outdoors in Paris. She tells us, "It is crazy. You cannot segregate people. You cannot penalize people." Nearby and next to a sign saying apartheid, a form of which many on the march argue the planned legislation would create, we meet Richard Holoku. He had to be vaccinated because of his job and he isn't happy about it. He's furious that the government wants to treat the unvaccinated differently. "We had to come because we do not agree with this. We are saying to our politicians, stop this." No, he says. He calls the language used by Emmanuel Macron this week disgusting when the president talked about making life hard for the unvaccinated. The French president said he wanted to pee off those who refuse to be jabbed. And in the crowd, there are posters turning Macron's own words back on him. "Make life hard for us and we will make life hard for you." And that to a president facing an election in a few months' time. The current COVID-19 wave engulfing France could reach its peak in around 10 days' time, said Professor Alain Fischer, an official responsible for France's COVID vaccine strategy. "I think we are coming to the peak of this new wave," Fischer said in an interview, adding that this peak could come primarily towards the beginning of the second fortnight of January, so if we work it out this would be in around 10 days' time. France reported 261,481 new coronavirus infections on Thursday, less than the record of more than 332,000 set on Wednesday, but the 7-day moving average of new cases rose above 200,000 for the first time since the start of the health crisis. The French Health Ministry also reported 204 new deaths, taking the total COVID-19 death tally to over 125,000. Macron is banking that enough people will take up COVID vaccine booster shots to mitigate the effects of the virus, and thereby allow Macron to avoid enforcing major new restrictions to tackle the pandemic. France's parliament on Thursday approved Macron's plans for a vaccine pass to help curb the spread of the Omicron variant after a tumultuous debate whipped up by Macron's comments. Macron told a newspaper earlier this week that he wanted to make the lives of those refusing the COVID-19 vaccine so complicated by squeezing them out of public places that they would end up getting jabbed. Macron's coarse language barely 3 months before a presidential election was widely seen as a politically calculated, tapping into intensifying public frustration against the unvaccinated. More than 90% of over 12s have received at least 2 doses, government data shows. Health Minister Olivier Véran said a record number of people since October 1 received a first shot on Wednesday after Macron's comments were published.